Lies. Oh, lies!
Trump had told the family that the military would be paying for the funeral. And then he said, if you need help, I'll help you out. So a few months later, when he's in this meeting with staff, this is where the reporting comes in. According to Goldberg, Trump asked, did they bill us for the funeral? What did it cost? According to attendees and contemporaneous notes of the meeting taken by a participant, and aide answers, yes, we received a bill. The funeral cost $60,000. Trump became angry. It doesn't cost $60,000 to bury a Mexican. Excuse my language there, I just read it.
Flashback.
When would you like to have the funeral? When?
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible, I agree. As soon as possible with the funeral. We make sure that happens.
Ya,
Okay,
es que tienen que entregármela ya.
Thank you.
Ya, porque es.
Where will you have the funeral? Do you know?
Houston.
In Houston?
Yeah.
All right. And if I can help you out with the funeral, I'll help you out. I'll help you out financially. I'll help you.
I think the military maybe can take care of it.
Good. They'll do it. Military. That's good. If you need help, I'll help you out.
Thank you, President.
Okay. If they need something, we'll take care. We'll make sure she is very respected.
Meanwhile,
when President Trump invited us to the Oval Office, he was gracious with his family. He didn't have to do that.
What's going on, guys? We got to talk about this ridiculous story published by The Atlantic. Now, I'm still smiling over here because I know that this means that Kamala Harris' campaign is desperate. Okay, they see that the writing is on the wall. As it currently stands, as of today, it is impossible for them to win the election, with the exception of cheating and things like that, right? So they know that the walls are closing in and the ceiling's coming down, and they have to do something. Otherwise, it's over. It's a wrap, and Kamala Harris is gonna have to finally go back to working at McDonald's, okay, for the first time. And this is something that they want to avoid at all costs. So they came up with the smear published by The Atlantic. Okay, Vanessa Guillen's family was very grateful to Donald Trump, as you saw at the very beginning of this video.
Laura, one of the things is too, just laying down the groundwork here. When President Trump invited us to the Oval Office, he was gracious with his family. He didn't have to do that. There was many people out there, missing from Fort Hood that died at Fort Hood, but he opened his doors up to this Mexican-American family. And he was gracious to them, and he gave them a lot of time. And when President Biden came into office, he did not invite this family. I'm not going to go into details, but we didn't have the same courtesy, the same respect, the same support that we saw with President Trump in the White House. And I know, and everyone knows, that President Trump is very supportive of our military. So this piece, I can't even call it a story, this piece, leave it there, was full of lies. I myself spoke to him, and I told him certain things. For a matter of fact, I said I could not speak about the issue, about these things and about these things. And then he says, Natalie Quam said this. And that was not true. I mean, that's what really bothers me. I've worked with both sides of the aisle, with producers and reporters and the media for years, both sides of the aisle. I've never had to deal with somebody that just went that low, below the belt, just to get a story out. And it was, quite honestly, it was wrong, and it was unethical, and I had to take on that position of I'm going to call him out. And I appreciate honest reporting, and this is honest reporting, when you can put us on the record, when you can have us talk, and you don't have to say things that we didn't say. So thank you, Laura, for doing a good, honest piece here.
And yet the fake news, Kamala Harris, Karine Jean-Pierre, and others are obsessed with trying to push this message out of Trump allegedly saying that he wanted more generals that were like Hitler's generals, and saying that Hitler did things right, and saying that he didn't want to pay for an effing Mexican, like saying all these ridiculous, baseless, unproven things. And the funny thing about it, and why I was smiling when this video started, is because none of this is moving the needle.
It is deeply troubling and incredibly dangerous that Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler.
This is not a joke. This is not a drill. This guy is nuts. He's dangerous. And the people closest to him know he's nuts and dangerous.
And to be praising Adolf Hitler is dangerous, and it's also disgusting. The former president has said he is going to be a dictator on day one. We cannot ignore that. We cannot. And we cannot ignore or forget what happened on January 6, 2021.
I'm going to show you what the sister has said, okay, Mayra is saying here, because she immediately denounced this. She says, wow, I don't appreciate how you're exploiting my sister's death, hurtful and for death for politics, hurtful and disrespectful to the important changes she made for service members. President Donald Trump did nothing but show respect to my family and Vanessa. In fact, I voted for President Trump today. She doesn't think of, a person who met him doesn't think that any of this is true. And there's more, guys. Apparently, Mayra's attorney, Natalie, saying, after having dealt with hundreds of reporters in my legal career, this is unfortunately the first time I have to go on record and call out Jeffrey Goldberg. Okay, he's the person who published this hit piece of The Atlantic. Not only did he misrepresent our conversation, but he outright lied in his sensational story. More importantly, he used and exploited my clients in Vanessa Guillen's murder for cheap political gain. Okay, I would also like to point out that the timing of this story is quite suspicious, as this supposed conversation that Trump had would have occurred over 4 years ago. Why a story about it now? It's called election interference. And the thing that's funny about this is that, as you can see, since they prosecuted Trump, election interference is considered a crime. Trump is about to get in office. All signs point to that. Are you sure it was a great idea to release something that is unproven, most likely 99% chance false and fraudulent and just made up, when Donald Trump is about to get in office and you're claiming to be afraid of retribution?
It doesn't make sense to me. I find the timing suspicious, and it just completely is divorced from the man that I've come to know in Donald Trump, and how he's dealt with Gold Star families, how he has been caring, how he's been compassionate. And don't take it from me. Take it from the 13 Abbey Gold Star families, some of who stood on a stage in front of a 30,000 person crowd and said how he helped them heal. He spent hours with them. He promised them transparency. And these are families that said they had it up to here with Biden's BS. They couldn't even get a phone call answered, much less a meeting, and invited Kamala Harris to Arlington National Cemetery, and she didn't come, even though she was in Washington that day with no public events on her schedule. So it just, like I said, it makes no sense to me. It doesn't comport. And on the fascism piece, right? Like, I mean, you're saying he's praising Hitler, yet this is a president that has done more for Israel than any president in modern history, moved our embassy, recognized Golan Heights, signed the Abraham Peace Accords, not once, not twice, but 3 times on the White House lawn. We're seeing Jewish Americans moving our way in the polling, moving his way in the polling. At the same time, you're seeing these grotesque protests on our college campus, anti-Semitism abounding amongst the left, Jewish students being harassed and feeling unsafe, and none of this comports.
Let's continue here, because there's a couple more. Mark Meadows, okay? I believe this was what, like the chief of staff? I was in the discussions featured in the Atlantic's hit piece against President Trump. And let me say this, any suggestion that President Trump disparage Ms. Guillen or refuse to pay for her funeral expenses is absolutely false. He was nothing but kind, gracious, and wanted to make sure that the military and the U.S. government did the right thing by Vanessa Guillen and her family. And you even had one more here. Okay, now I'm not going to read this whole thing. Theo Wold. Okay, I was at President Trump's meeting with the Guillen family, and President Trump was genuinely concerned about Vanessa Guillen and appalled by the tragedy. Okay, so this is the thing. It says President Trump even had zero interest in cameras. It wasn't some sort of press event for him to pretend like he was being nice to the family. The girl literally admitted it here. Okay, she literally admits it here. Mayra Guillen, our favorite conservative CNN analyst Scott Jennings, also went off about this, because this is just stupid that this even came out at this time to begin with.
On this truly shocking claim in this new Atlantic article, that Trump said he needed the kind of generals Hitler had, even though the Trump campaign denied this, 2 sources in the room confirmed it to the Atlantic magazine. What's your reaction to what Trump reportedly said here?
My reaction to this entire article is one of skepticism. I was keying in on, I didn't get a chance to read the whole thing as we were going on the air, but I was keying in on the story about Private Guillen, and her family has come out today and strongly refuted this and said Donald Trump treated them with respect. And so if that part of the story is being refuted by Private Guillen's family, it makes me question the whole thing. So, you know, I wasn't there. I haven't had any conversations with anybody about any of these issues. But 2 weeks to go before an election and these kinds of anonymously sourced bombshells drop, I'm skeptical.
Go ahead and cook them up, Scott. Now, we got to react to Laura Coates here, okay? Now, this lady is woke as hell and makes some of the dumbest arguments. It's hard to believe that some of these people are actually attorneys or licensed attorneys. Can you believe how dumb some of these people are? Like, this is... the big differentiator is all these people did is they took the extra time and money out to get additional licensure. But as for actually being intelligent, it is clearly not a sign of that, as you're going to see as we progress through this video.
I have a feeling that there are a number of voters who are hearing so many things about Trump. They're hearing the claims, they're hearing the statements, they're hearing about members of the cabinet.
And we've been hearing it for like the last freaking 10 years. We don't give a damn. We want to fix this economy. I'm gonna let her keep going.
No can do, no will do again. And then you hear Trump's campaign saying, this is false. President Trump never said any of this. I mean,
he didn't.
Trump, though, tonight praised authoritarian leaders, China's Xi, Russia's Putin. Listen to this.
Can you imagine what President Xi, you know, I got to know him very well. He's a fierce individual. He runs 1.4 billion people with an iron fist. Am I allowed to say he's smart? He's smart. He's a smart man. He's a fierce
according
man.
to the fake news, no.
I get along with him very well. Putin. These are people that are tough people.
I mean, many people have an issue with appraising of any kind of either of these two leaders. Does the fact that he appears to have a strong affinity for those who are authoritarians in the leadership, is that deniable at this point?
What? A strong affinity?
In the clip you showed, he didn't praise them. He just called Xi smart, which is the only praise he gave them.
Well, it's not an insult.
It's not okay.
Right?
Well, it's not. But it's not praise either.
Imagine that these people are so stupid. Imagine you got world leaders with nuclear capability that you consider enemies, and you just go around just fanning the flames more, rather than just saying, "Okay, these are smart people, but here's how we're going to take care of them. Here's how we're going to negotiate with them. Here's how we're going to be diplomatic with them rather than adversarial with them." These people are stupid.
It's called Xi smart, which is the only praise he gave them.
Well, it's not an insult.
It's not okay.
Right?
Well, it's not. But it's not praise either, which is what you said it was, which it wasn't. But according to the Jeffrey Goldberg article, which we've talked about this entire night, you can't trust that article because the quote 60,000 for an effing Mexican funeral. The only two on-record sources both said that he didn't say that. The only source is an anonymous source, and the family of the deceased soldier said that he was lovely to them, and in fact, they voted for Donald Trump today. That's how much they disagreed, and they said it was a disrespectful article that politicized the death of their loved one. And Jeffrey Goldberg did not care about printing something that they had no sources on the record for. And I honest to God, like most Americans, do not care about General Kelly's farewell tour where he tries to make amends for working for Donald Trump, since Democrats said we're going to run all these Republicans who work for Trump out of town unless they somehow make peace. So 2 weeks before Election Day, he runs to liberal journalist Susan Glasser about a conversation that allegedly happened 4 years ago. It doesn't pass a smell test. And that is why people are turned off to all of these stories. They remember Donald Trump's presidency for low inflation, jobs, peace through strength, controlled borders. That's why they care. No one believes Jeffrey Goldberg and the article from a publication that's owned by one of Harris's donors.
Absolutely, guys. And I'm going to go ahead and give you a little cherry on top here, because the Trump campaign has responded to this, the campaign and Trump himself. So at the end, I'm going to show you what Trump said on his Truth Social. Okay, but the campaign says, it's titled, Trump Campaign Statement on Kamala Harris Lying and Losing. Kamala Harris is a stone cold loser who is incredibly desperate because she is flailing and her campaign is in shambles. This is why she continues to peddle outright lies and falsehoods that are easily disproven. The fact that is that Kamala's dangerous rhetoric is directly to blame for the multiple assassination attempts against President Trump, and she continues to stoke the flames of violence, all in the name of politics. She is despicable, and her grotesque behavior proves she is wholly unfit for office. Okay, so this is what his campaign said. I'm gonna show you what Trump himself wrote. Okay, thank you for your support against a total degenerate named John Kelly. Okay, John Kelly was the suckers and losers perpetuator who made up a story out of pure Trump derangement, syndrome, hatred. Absolutely. I mean, majority of these far leftists, especially the Democrats, politicians, are extremely Trump deranged. The news media has gotten totally out of control. This guy had two qualities which don't work well together. He was tough and dumb. The problem is his toughness morphed into weakness because he became jello with time. The story about the soldiers was a lie, as are numerous other stories he told. Even though I shouldn't be wasting my time with him, I always feel it necessary to hit back in pursuit of the truth. I absolutely agree, Trump. John Kelly is a lowlife and a bad general whose advice to the White House I no longer sought and told him to move on. His wife once told me at Camp David, John admires you tremendously, and when he leaves the military, he will only speak well of you. I said, thank you. Well, John is a liar. Okay, so John is salty that he got shit canned. Okay, he's mad he got fired, so he has a vendetta against Donald Trump. It's the same thing as people like Liz Cheney. I mean, the Cheneys were basically fired by the Republicans. So now they've turned against the Republicans and they're trying to pretend like it's because Trump is dangerous. These people are crooks. They're corrupt. Nobody should take anything that they say seriously. And as I showed you near the beginning of this video, it doesn't look like it's moving the needle at all. It looks like this is just going to be one of many things that they're going to have to dogpile onto Trump leading all the way up to the election, because I'm sure that they got more. They're probably going to try something like the day before the election or something. Do not be surprised and keep your heads on a swivel. I think that considering that they've been going hard on him for so long, and Hitler and dictator, I mean, these people are nuts, and it's like you've desensitized people to it. Like, they've been saying the same garbage and they've been lying about so much stuff. Who the hell believes, besides like radical left Trump deranged lunatics, who the hell believes anything that these people are going to say at this point? You know, be on the lookout for the cackling hens and MSDNC to try to keep pushing and stuff like this. But people that actually use their brain are not falling for it. They know that it's politics. They know that it's right near the election. They know they're going to say any and everything that they possibly can. Find the recordings. Play the tape. Roll the tape, okay? And then maybe we can talk again. But if it's just he says, she said, then as far as I'm concerned, you can really kiss my ass and get the hell up out of my face with the nonsense. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate you watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
This is based on 4 anonymous sources 2 weeks before an election, 100%. Disputed by people on the record, and yet it led a CBS News broadcast. What a shame.
What a lot of bullshit.